How's it going, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Georgie Man and I'm your friendly neighborhood anime and manga fan. I love all things anime and all things manga, and I'm here today to talk about Oshi no Ko episode 1. So, what did I think about the first episode of Oshi no Ko? I'm just gonna, be straightforward. I absolutely adore the first episode. I think this episode was amazing, and I'm not even joking when I say that I absolutely believe that this episode will go down as one of the best episodes in all of anime when it comes to an introduction of a series, because that's the big selling point to a series. How do you pull the audience in? And I think this episode really did a good job in making us all feel invested in this show, because speaking for myself, I'm now gonna be I'm hooked with the show now. Like, I'm gonna be watching it week by week or whenever it gets released, and I just think it says a lot. If a show can pull you right in from the very start, I think they're doing a great job at it. Now, before I get into this week's episode, I just wanted to give you guys a quick reminder to make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you guys can be up to date with all things anime and manga. I would really appreciate if you guys could subscribe to my YouTube channel. It really helps out a lot, so please, I would really appreciate if you guys could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now, with that being said, let's get into this episode. So, from the very opening act of the show, I started questioning, like, okay, what's gonna be the plot? Because not gonna lie, for the first 20 minutes or so, I was a little confused. Like, okay, what are we setting up? Like, I get the idea of there's an idol, and this guy's kind of like, simping for her, and why not? And like this doctor guy, I started like questioning, like, okay, it's kind of messy. I'm not taking anything away from the show, but that was my initial thoughts when the first 10-15 minutes. But at the same time, I'm also thinking, like, okay, the opening episode is 90 minutes, which for a lot of people it might be a big throw off, but for me, I absolutely adored it because it gave me a feature length film kind of length. So I think it was very essential for them to make sure that this episode hit all the right notes, and it did, because thanks to being 90 minutes, we got to pretty much experience the whole first volume of the manga. And just for full transparency, I haven't read the manga, but I know it did, this first episode was pretty much the first volume of the manga, and that's a lot of content that we got. I think it was like 10 chapters that we got in this episode, and it shows because we got a lot, and I think it was very necessary for us to get all of it at once, because that's how you pull your audience in. And I feel like if this anime had been coming out week by week, we wouldn't have had the same impact as what we got at the end of this episode. But pretty much what the show is consisting of is a doctor and a patient, and what we see is that these two people pass away. They die. One of them dies from, she was ill, and the doctor gets pretty much killed. He gets pushed off a cliff by a stalker of the main character, and I'm just gonna say right off the bat, I love Ai. I think she was a great character, and it's just a big ball of life. Like, I think her character was just, every time she was on screen, I was just like smiling, because she has a very unique personality, and it's very uplifting. And I think that her story, what we got to see of it, I think it was tremendous, and she is a very strong character, at least for me. I think the way that she was written is phenomenally. And it's not a surprise, because if you know anything about the author of Oshi no Ko, he is the same author as Love is War. And Love is War is one of my favorite anime and mangas of all time. I love the series. I've read all of it. And now I'm excited to see what else he has to offer. And oh my goodness, the range that my man Aka has is insane, because if you're one of the Love is War fans and are jumping in thinking it's going to be the same thing, this episode was definitely not that. I think this episode was completely out of anything that I've seen from Love is War. This was a 180, but it did do something that Love is War has always been great at, and that's hitting the emotional highs, because the emotional moments in this episode were tremendous. And I know it's just the first episode, but I would be lying if I didn't say that I did cry. Like, I was bawling when the credits roll in the first episode. It was very emotional. I think that's a great way to grab your audience. Now, you might be asking, what is the show about? Now, the show of Oshi no Ko is about a idol, and she gets pregnant at 16 and she delivers these kids. Now, what you find out in the show is that there was a doctor and a patient, like I said earlier, and they both die, and they get reincarnated as her kids. And you might be thinking at face value, like, oh, what is this, like an isekai? Like, I got reincarnated as a slime or something like that. Like, and that's the vibe I was getting at first. Like, I was like, what is this? Like, is this Mikusho Tensei? Like, what is this? But as the show went on, I was like, oh, I'm completely wrong. Like, and I should have expected that, because Aka has always been very good at, subverting your expectations and just blowing you away. Like, there was at least 5 moments in the show where I thought something was going to happen, and it was the opposite of what I thought. And it was great. I love shows that keep me on my toes, and I think that this show is definitely great at that, at least from what I saw in this opening episode. But enough of this. Let's talk about the characters. I think the kids, Ruby and Aqua, I think they're great. And I would say that, to me, like, I think I'm favoring a little bit of Aqua, because he comes off as the smart guy, and he reminds me a lot of like Shirogane from Love is War, another comparison. And we see them grow. Like, we go from them being babies to 3-year time skip, and you see pretty much throughout the show like their relationship and how it grows from, at first, they're just like, okay, yay, like, we're fans of hers, but then it evolves to something more, and it's a relationship of parents and their kids. And that was the strongest point of the show, because I liked seeing what does it mean for a famous person to have kids. And that's one of the dilemmas that we see throughout the episode. We see that she has to keep her her kids secret from the public, because not only did she get pregnant at 16, but she the father's out of the picture, and she was she didn't have a mom or dad that was there for her. So she really wants to be a good mom for these kids. And I think that the way that they portrayed it in the show, she was a great mom. And what's tragic about it is, at the end of the show, in the first episode, when she is living her happy life, she finally made it to stardom, and she is a very successful woman, to say the least. She got pretty much everything in the world that she could wish. She has her family. She's very happy. She got a nice career going on for her. She's working hard, so these kids, they don't have the same life that she had, the same upbringing. And what we see is that, the tragedy of it all is that, just as hard as she worked for all this, it can be taken away in a flash. And we see that precisely happen when a stalker, walks in the door and stabs her, because he finds out that, she had kids, and he feels betrayed. And the saddest part about it all is that throughout it all, she still was putting her persona. She was still lying. She made her career based off lies, and throughout it all, she still lied even then. And it was just tragic, just seeing her, get stabbed and, like, killed in front of her son and her daughter. Like, that whole scene literally had me in tears, because it was very emotional. And I gotta give mad props to the voice actress, because she absolutely nailed it. She just killed it in that scene. And I just think that this show, the way it ended, it was like a big moment where you're just thinking to yourself, like, what is this? Like what did I just witness? Because you walk into the show thinking, oh, it's gonna be like a slice of life, cutesy anime. No, it's not. It's very deep, and there's a lot of like dark themes. There's obsession. There's the whole thing about you wanting to be famous, and what, the price of fame. And it really shows. And I really got nothing but, big props to Aka, the author, because he absolutely nailed it, as well as the anime production, because they knew exactly what they were doing, making it 90 minutes, because I think that was the right length. Because how the episode ends is, she dies, and it's very emotional, and we set up that the kids, specifically Aqua, wants to kill his dad, and he's going to track down who killed their mom. And that's a big turning point. I wasn't expecting that to be the show, but it is now. I thought I was going to be the main character, and she was, but now she's dead, and now we're moving on to the kids. And I think this is a great way to start off a show, and it really pulls your audience in. And I think that they did a fantastic job. I think the animation was on point. I think the soundtrack was on point. The opening is amazing. The ending song as well. I think just all across the board, this was a very strong episode, and I can't wait to see, next week's and so forward, or whenever it gets released. But with that being said, what did you guys think about Oshi no Ko? Did you guys like it? Did you guys thought it was all right? Did you guys hate it? Whatever you guys thought, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, thank you so much for sticking all the way to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Oshi no Ko, content in the future. Because now that I'm hooked, I feel like I gotta make content about it, because I really enjoy this show, and I'm going in blindly. I'm not a manga reader. So yeah, with that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.